All right. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and then another 7 oceans add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God, for he's the exalted, all powerful, all wise. We confide in no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. He is one. And even if I lived to be 1,000, it would still not be enough to thank God for his many blessings and gifts. We thank God for the Metu Neter, oracle scriptures and writings that came thousands of years on the continent of Africa before any organized religion. We thank God for Moses in the Torah, Jesus in the gospel, and Muhammad with the Quran. I greet everyone in words of peace. To my Christian family, praise the Lord. To my Muslim family, assalamu alaikum. To my Hebrew Israelite family, shalom. To my Black conscious family, hotep. And to my people in the streets, what's good to you? It all means peace. So this is Brother Sharif with the Hour of Power. Go to Hour of Power, Sharif Hamid on YouTube. Subscribe and share the channel so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. Before we get into this much anticipated interview with our good brother, Reverend Boxley, just a couple community announcements and tips and pointers as usual. Every Saturday we have a Lafayette's teaching class at Vonnie Grimes Gym between the hours of 11 and 1 p.m. That's a Lafayette's teaching class at Vonnie Grimes Gym between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Youth, boys and girls, between the ages of 7-15, if you have children, niece, nephew, grandchildren, young people in the community that need a little guidance or something positive to do, bring them by Vonnie Grimes Gym. We had an absolute wonderful time with them last week. We taught them, some African lessons at the gym, and then we went to this wonderful brother's church who we're going to hear from in a couple short minutes, and we taught them community service as he was serving and feeding the community. It was a beautiful event. So that's what we did with our youth last week. On December the 1st, we will, God willing, take the youth to Baltimore on Pennsylvania Avenue so they can view the Black Wolves youth group led by my good brother Mosiah Fit down there in Baltimore. He's taking young people off of the streets of Baltimore, teaching them military style discipline with the youth group, the Black Wolves, which we want to incorporate here in York. So we're going to take them down there December the 1st to Baltimore so they could see it for themselves with their parents, hopefully. And then on December the 2nd, led by my good sister Catherine Ligero with Harrisburg Rising, we will be marching up to the state capitol steps with a rally called Pennsylvania United Against White Supremacy and Terrorism. We will speak out against terrorism here and abroad, injustice and oppression at the state capitol steps in Harrisburg, Sunday, December the 2nd, between the hours of 1 and 4. There will be many powerful speakers there. I'll be one of the keynote speakers, and I'll be having some brothers and sisters going with me from here in York to do some spoken word, and so they can share some of their wisdom and give some solutions on that issue of terrorism, racism, and oppression here in America and abroad. And if anyone has any programs or anything here going on here in York or wherever that I can share, just let us know, and we'll be glad to share it. We're about community activity and community building. Real quick on that topic of terrorism, racism, I had a real negative experience at at a market in Manchester. I go there to get my alkaline water, and as I was leaving the market, it was some white gentleman outside waiting for me. I didn't realize it until I got up to my car. I saw them leaning up against their car, which was next to my car. And when I went into the passenger side to put my water in, he very hostilely says to me, "What does that cap on your head represent?" And I said, "A good evening to you, sir." And luckily I was in a good mood And in my meditation mode, I said, well, I'm a Muslim. And he said, yeah, we've been seeing you people around here more, and we want to know what's going on. I said, you people? He said, yeah. And what is this about this terrorism and cutting people's heads off? What is it about that? I said, well, sir, it's no different than the terrorism that the KKK did in the name of Christianity here in this country. No different than the terrorism that Americans who probably grew up in a Christian background, who's been shooting up schools with innocent children in them, and many others who misrepresent their faith. You have people who misrepresent their faith and misrepresent organizations, but that isn't representative to blanket that particular faith. And I said, if you want to know what we believe in, just go to the source. And that's why I brought my book, the Quran. This isn't a religious class, but I'm just letting you know, be on guard. And it's a lot of tension going on around here. That could have really got ugly. But what I try to do when I'm meditating is to walk in the line of the people who I say I'm trying to emulate, which is those like Abraham, Jesus, and Muhammad. And I thought before, as he was rattling on with his hostility and whoever else was with him, how would Jesus and Muhammad handle this? Would they fire back, or would they be a little patient? So I was patient, and it actually turned into an educational experience. Thank God. So stay woke and be vigilant. So it is what it is. But that is the purpose of that program on December the 2nd, to fight against these kind of negative ideas and people running around that's not thinking straight. So I believe that I have a true Christian with me today, someone who is truly walking in the footsteps of Jesus. So without no further ado, my good friend and brother, Reverend Boxley, could you introduce yourself and tell us how you got into your, well, just introduce yourself first, brother.
Thank you, Brother Sharif. We've been trying to get here to the table for quite some time now.
Yes, sir.
But I'm grateful to be able to have the time today to sit down with you and communicate with you a little bit. Of course, my name's Adrian Boxley. Born and raised right here in the city of York, out here in the Wellington projects, right here on this side of the town, the east side, and educated in York City schools, and actually graduated high school from Yorkville Tech. And went to the military, came back home, was in the streets for a little bit, and then I realized I was a better person. Started going to church, and eventually got saved, and then started, working in the church and doing different things and getting busy. They say the idle mind is the devil's workshop, so just try to stay as busy as I can. And I try to keep that busyness going even now, even in a quote-unquote elevated space in church, as the pastor of two churches. I still try to stay busy, because, again, if you get not busy, then it gives the time for the enemy to creep his head in and try to take advantage of your unbusyness. So I try to stay as busy as I can and keep working. Also work as a juvenile probation officer for the county of York. Just kind of interesting as well. So
I bet.
Just excited. Just excited about the work I do.
Right. You had mentioned when you had, came back, from the service, I believe you said you kind of had a dark moment or a dark stage, which all of us have had. What would you say, or who would you say, if not a combination of both, made the light come on for you, where you said, all right, I'm going to change whatever I'm doing, it's not positive, and really start having you walk in the footsteps of God, so to speak?
Well, I think for me, I can't speak for others, but for myself, it was, I knew that I was better than what I was doing. And because I knew that I was better than what I was doing, I just was looking for something to help solidify what I was already thinking. and confirm what I was already. I knew that I was a better person. I knew I was better than what I was doing, and so I was trying to find something, and then. Friends and some of the family members was going to church, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to church, and then I really enjoyed what was being said, and starting to apply little things that I was hearing to my life. Now my life is getting better. Now all of a sudden, now I'm working, I'm doing other things on a positive note, and I'm like, oh, okay, and things continue to get better, and so we continue to. Just constantly do things like that. What I used to do is, I literally used to, because I used to go out every night. And then when I started going to church, I was like, this ain't right. Then my life started changing. And I wasn't going out every night, but I would go out I might go out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but then the rest of the week I ain't going out. Because I got to get my head right for church. And then eventually it started to go away.
You mean going out?
Yeah. Going to the bars and things of that nature. So, yeah, it was more an internal drive because I knew I was a better person than I was.
And with you making that kind of transformation, did your circle of friends, or did your circle change or shrink? Did it get bigger? Or
every one of my friends is still my friend.
Oh, okay. Even when you stopped going out with them?
Oh, they still my friends.
Oh, okay.
All of them. I don't do what they do,
right?
But they still my friends. I don't go to where they go, but they still my friends. And I just refuse to turn my back on them. Just because I got saved, don't mean I gotta.
Right.
So.
But when you first got your calling, did you preach to them, so to speak, and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing"? Never. You just did what you did. Wow.
And tried my best to just be a positive light in their presence. So if we might have a get together, cookout at one of their houses. We'll all be there. If they're doing something that I don't participate in, I'm going a different direction. But other than that, we sitting here, we fellowshipping, breaking bread. We friends. We grew up together.
Right.
And as a result of me staying humble. No, I know who I am. I know what I do, but I still remain humble. I don't judge no one. And so as a result of that, I've been able to baptize at least 3 or 4 of my friends that I grew up with. So it's just a matter of just, not being judgmental towards people, just trying to help people as best you can.
So you think that's the, because I know you're a man of the word, do you think that's the meaning and the understanding of you can be in the world, but not of the world?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I even try to, I try to, like in job as probation officer, they got the separation of the church and state. You can't really divulge your faith,
religious beliefs.
Your faith and religious beliefs on people. So, but when I'm talking to some of these young men, especially the young men from the city, listen, man, I got friends in the city too. That do what your friends do. I just choose not to be around them when they do what they do.
Right.
That don't mean they're not my friends. They're my homies, my pals, my boys, all that. But I just don't do what they do anymore.
Right. Do you think youth today are really connecting with people of the cloth, so to speak, no matter what their religious background is? Like, I don't hold any religious title or anything like that, but do you think the youth are really connecting with them, or do you think that a lot of people, especially if they've gotten their calling, are doing the opposite of what you did, which I really commend, of being too dogmatic, and they just kind of shy back and
I think when you talk about the youth, especially youth today, youth today are. Let me preface what I'm getting ready to say by saying that there's still hope.
Mm-hmm.
There's still hope for our kids.
Oh yeah.
We have to figure out a way to get kids and our youth to make their own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, our kids are making decisions based on their friends and based on what's going on around them.
Mm-hmm.
Just the follow the leader mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And then the leader gone, and now somebody else becomes a new leader. Now we follow the new leader.
Right.
Instead of just, taking on their own personality. And when they know what's right, and they know. I had a young man in my office today who's lost 2 close friends in the last 3 weeks. And
Youth?
Yeah. The last 2 young men that got killed on our streets. One of their friends was in my office today, and he's talking to me about these deaths, and he just breaks down crying. These kids got feelings and emotions just like everybody else.
Right.
But they don't know how to deal with those feelings. They don't know how to deal with those emotions. They don't know who to contact, who to talk to. And even if they do know who to contact and who to talk to, they're not trusting adults enough to go and talk to them.
That's very unfortunate, and that's definitely nothing we want to hear.
And so we have to figure out a way to get young people to trust adults.
All right, a generation.
We're asking young men to trust a man when they can't even trust their own daddy.
If he's even around.
We're asking young men to be respectful to their mother, but the man in the house is not respectful to the mother. So this is what the kids see, and they just mimicking behavior. And now there's no control in the home, so there's no control out of the home. So now the kid comes to the school or goes to the school and does what he wants to do, or she wants to do. And when the school tries to discipline, now the teacher's getting cussed out. One of the biggest issues, I got like maybe 5 or 6 kids that are up at William Penn right now. And I think William Penn is doing a heck of a job trying to get it under control. But a lot of times I go up there to talk to a kid, they can't find the kid.
They can't find them.
Because they just run, why do you
just
go
roam in the halls?
Yeah, you go to school not to go to class. That don't make sense to me.
Unbelievable.
And again, the school is doing everything to try to pull this thing together. But it takes support from the family. It takes support from the community. It takes everybody got to work. This thing is systematic, man. Systematic. Can't blame the system. You can't blame the family. You can't blame, the community. It's everybody. All of us, until everyone's on the same page,
it's going to persist.
We're gonna have problems. We're gonna have problems until everyone's on the same page.
Right.
People say, well, what is there to do for our kids? Reality is, the question is, what is there to do for our kids? I'm not saying there's no activities in our community for kids, but they're a whole lot less than what they were.
Right.
A whole lot less.
Yeah, I believe we all can agree on that. I had Miss Sweeney on and her son Zaire from Baltimore last week, and her son Zaire, he goes to school in Baltimore, and I was shocked of how many community centers they said shut down, not sporadically, but all at one time. She said between 20 and 30 all at one time. And Zaire, who's just a senior in high school, he was saying it's nothing to do. And Baltimore is almost considered like, more than a mid-sized city. I would say that's a major city. And for a city that large to have nothing to do in very few community centers. And then some of his aunts, called in, was saying, talking about the Wellington Center, the Princess Street Center, the CA, how they just.
They had this. When I grew up, we had Wellington Center, Prince Street Centers, CA, Jefferson Center. That big building out Parkway, that was a big community center as well.
That's a daycare now, right?
Right.
Yeah, I do some therapy in there.
And even as we had the Rotary, where where we're located right now, there were places to go on all sides of town.
Right.
And College Avenue Gym, which is now the Vonnie Grimes Gym.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff is gone. And so we got to figure
it's a lack
out.
of funding.
And here's the other piece to it. Every kid is not a football player. Every kid is not a basketball player.
So sports can't do it all.
We got some scientists.
Right.
We got some we got some mathematicians, we got some educators. And we got some future leaders. But we got to find ways to
bring that out of
bring it out of them.
Family who's listening in, I hope you're taking in this vast amount of knowledge and jewels that our good brother is sharing. Unfortunately, something is wrong with our phone system. So if anyone has any questions or comments for our dear brother, send them through Facebook. If you have a question, I'll keep looking down at my phone, and Sister Alicia, look out for them. Send them through if you have any questions or comments for our brother, because our phone system isn't working tonight. So you're more than welcome to send it through Facebook for our Facebook viewers. So we were talking about the community centers. What do you think led to the demise, so to speak? Because I do mobile therapy, and I was just on the day that we got that real bad ice storm. The other day, I was at the Princess Street Center, which is called Lots of Love now, but that's not even open to the public anymore. I remember the Princess Street Center. What do you think?
A lot of that is funding. A lot of that is funding. Monies that come in, grants and things like that, and grants run out, and then they don't renew the grants or things of that nature. That's the lot where a lot of that comes from. So they can't afford. The city already don't have money, so they can't afford to pay people to work the centers, things of that nature, and things. So it's just a matter of. I mean, like right now they redid the Vonnie Grimes Gym. They have Brother Diaz working there, which is a good thing. So it's
trying to get it back together,
right? And that's one of the things that God gave to me to do when we started Jabez here in the city of York. Was it's not just a church, it's a community center. So we got a gym there. We offer tutoring. We have Zumba classes. We got women's groups, and we got outside of our normal church stuff.
That's 40 Jefferson Street.
40
right?
Jefferson Avenue, yeah.
Is it Jabaz?
Jabaz.
Jabaz Ministry. So these are the services that this brother has. So
got a food kit pantry where we give out food on Tuesdays.
That's every Tuesday?
Yes.
What's the hours of that?
It's 9 a.m.
9 a.m. till
they run out.
Till you run out.
Yeah.
So that's every Tuesday at 9 a.m., not just Thanksgiving, right?
No, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So anyone need assistance with that, or know someone that needs assistance, because we're here to serve the community. And if I can't do it myself, I like linking up with brothers like this who are doing it, so we can lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. That's our motto.
Even in Columbia at St. Paul, we do what we call Jacob's Ladder.
Okay.
Every second Saturday, we feed the community.
Wow.
So it's just about building the community. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are struggling. And some of the struggle is self-induced. Some of the struggle is systematic. And so, regardless, we still got people we need to help.
Right.
And if we see our brother or our sister in the struggle, we gotta. If your heart doesn't move you to help somebody, then your heart should move you to have somebody else help somebody.
Right.
So if I can't do it, I can call somebody else to do it.
Right.
And that's really where it should. That's where life should be. But a lot of times we get caught up in the hardness of life, and because we get stuck in that hard space, it becomes a persistent and consistent struggle, which perpetuates what's going on in our community.
Right. What do you think is the big difference in the home life of like when we were coming up or your era compared to now? And do you think whatever that difference is, it's leading to the chaos that's going on in the streets?
Yeah. I think there's a huge difference. The one thing that is not different is missing fathers. You
said that's not different?
No.
When
I grew up in the projects, in Wellington projects.
That's out east then?
Yeah. Okay. There wasn't no fathers in the projects.
You mean in the home?
Right.
Wow. So almost the same thing is going on now.
Right. In the projects, there was, I don't know if it's still that way or it was that way. Couldn't have men in the home.
Yeah, it's still the same.
Okay. So there was no men. I mean, we knew who Mama's boyfriend was, but he ain't lived there. So there was no dads in the home. The difference now, still no dads. That, I mean, there's some, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But the difference now is that the moms are different.
What do you mean by that?
Moms in my era struggled. These moms struggle too. Frustrated. These moms are frustrated too. But our moms handled stuff. You know what I mean? If I got in trouble in school, my mom came up to the school and bust me in the head first. She didn't come up to school and cuss the teachers out.
Yeah, I see that firsthand.
She come up and bust me in the head. I'm getting you first. Then we'll deal with the school. Because you know better. That ain't happening now.
So you think the moms are more being friends with the
I wouldn't say they're friends. And I'm not blaming the moms. I'm saying moms are different.
They're different.
That's a big thing. I'm not saying it's the mom's fault, because it's not the mom's fault. It's the child's behavior. But what's happening is the discipline is so different. When we came up, there was discipline in school. I would get in trouble in school, then I go home and get my head busted. Okay? Or if I get in trouble in school and I come home in the community and somebody else know I got in trouble, they bust my head, then I get home, I get my head busted. It ain't happening.
Discipline.
And I'm not talking about abuse.
Right.
I'm talking about discipline.
Just straight discipline.
You got, man, listen, man, we got kids who are in kindergarten. And they are in emotional support classes.
I know.
Something wrong with that.
Yeah,
something's wrong with that.
My good sister here, Alicia, our producer, she asked me the other day, because she knows I'm a mobile therapist. She said, "What exactly do you do? With these children?" I said, "Yeah, I have children in daycare." And when I was in North Carolina, as I was leaving, they were. I had children as early as second and third grade. And one time, one of my clients, they got kicked out of school. They got suspended. And they gave me the address of where to go to check on them. I go to this place and I said, I looked there and I remember what the place used to be a few years ago, because it's right up the street from North Carolina Central, historically black college. And I buzzed and they said, "Who is this?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a counselor here." I said, "But I have the wrong place. I'm sorry." They said, "Oh, no, you have the right place. This is now an alternative school for third graders. And it used to just be for sixth graders, middle school on up." I said, "You have alternative schools for third graders now?" They said, "Oh, yeah, and we're working on it for first through third by the time," this was like a year or two ago. I was shocked. I said, "A alternative school for a third grader? That's unbelievable." And then coming here, I'm doing therapy in daycares. Yeah. Children flipping over to chairs and angry, just.
Yeah.
But
so I say all that to say, when you ask what's the difference, the difference is discipline. And it's discipline across the board. Like I said, moms are different. Man, let me tell you something. I got in trouble in school. I was scared to go home. I was scared to go home.
Right.
I ain't had no daddy in the house. I was scared to go home from what my mom was going to give to me.
I would.
And then once she gave it to me, I ain't get in trouble the next time.
Reverend Boxley, I don't know. I would have to not really disagree, but give another angle of what you said when I asked you earlier about do you think the mothers are being friends? And I would, from my observation as being a counselor and a therapist, I believe a lot of them are, which could lead into a lack of discipline, because who disciplines their friend? And I say that to say not from what someone told me or what I think, from what I observed, especially when I was in North Carolina, I would see boys in particularly. So like you said, the dynamic is different, walking in the classroom or in the classroom on their cell phone. So now you got this advent of all these cell phones. And I would tap them. Some of them would be my clients. Some of them, who are you talking to? I'm talking to my mom. Like, wait a minute. You just left from home. This is like 8 o'clock in the morning, right? They just left home. School starts 8:15, 8:30, 8:45. So I imagine you got on the bus around 7:30, 7:45. You just left home an hour ago, and you are on the phone with your mother as if that's your girlfriend. And then the teacher say, you need to put that phone away. Little Johnny getting in trouble first thing in the morning. He's texting. Again, who are you texting? I'm texting my mom, as if that's his woman. So there is a different dynamic going on here between especially mothers and their son, because I think because of her detachment of maybe not having the father or a man there, some of them are actually looking at some of their sons as if that's their man.
Well, I think a lot of times, especially, like I said, I think it's just not really knowing how to be a mother, and a lot of times that becomes because of, for instance, I think around 85, 86, where there was York was like listed as one of the top places for teenage pregnancy. And then in the state, like was like number one in the state or something. But at that time, so you figure 85, 86, then that group kids come along and they start having babies. Yeah.
Yes.
So you got perpetually young you got grandmamas who are not even 40.
Right. Where's the knowledge, being passed down?
Yeah.
Not saying they don't have any knowledge.
But what I'm saying is the grandparents who are not even 40.
Right.
Child 15. Their mom is 30.
Right. Right.
Grandmom 45. Everybody under 50.
Yeah, it's definitely a different
45,
a different
50,
dynamic.
You just learning how to live.
Right. I'm still learning.
That's what I'm saying. So
yes.
So it's a lot of different dynamics to this piece, man. You got, and that's what I'm saying. So you got the system that's steering its ugly head, its way. So it's a whole different piece to this thing, man. Well, you can have kids. We're gonna give you extra money, but no man can be in the house. And that goes back to the migration from the South. We're gonna steer y'all in this direction. Y'all gonna live over here. You're gonna have 50 families in this housing complex right here, and no dads. And if average house of those 50 have 2 kids, so you got 50 families. That's 50 moms, 100 kids, and no dad.
Right. Yeah, that's really going to change the family dynamic. At your church, well, I don't know if you can speak for other churches, is there like such a thing as like family counseling to help out with young mothers and working with
there are. I mean, my church doesn't have it yet because I think that's something that needs to be a licensed piece.
Yeah,
we talk about that part of it. And I believe the Burdens, Pastor Burden and Sister Burden, Pastor Burden, they both pastors. They're a licensed therapist. And so, but I'm not sure any other churches have licensed therapists working. But
we have enough knowledge to, pour into.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, Sister Sherry does the after school program at our church, where she's tutoring kids and things of that nature. And a lot of times, like, I pull them young guys and have conversations with them and things of that nature. So, just mature conversations with them.
Right.
Staying busy, staying involved, doing other things, and sometimes it just takes that.
Right.
Sometimes it takes that. As a kid, I grew up without a dad, but you know what? I always knew that it was supposed to be a dad around. I knew that, but
that's something your mom instilled in you, or you just?
I just knew that something wasn't right.
That was just a natural order.
I think something wasn't right, and so I would, as I started to mature a little bit, and I literally say, literally mean a little bit, as far as maturity. I used to hang around older cousins who were married, and I'd be at their house. I'm like, can I spend the night? Because I knew that's what it was supposed to be like.
Right.
I knew that's what it was supposed to be like. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle. But I'm just one of those people that never give up hope.
Right.
And so each day I pour in the kids, and I keep pouring, and I keep pouring. I might give an extra chance and extra opportunity when, just trying to steer them in a different direction and try to show them something different and stay positive. And, I'm a glass half full,
right,
versus half empty. I believe every kid has hope. I believe every kid has a chance. Every kid is good. And there's good in everybody.
Most definitely.
But how do we find it in each kid? That's where
that's something I mentioned last week with again our guest, since I had a youth on, and I made the point that even in third world countries, you have poverty. Some of them have to walk 50 miles just to get a clean drink of water, but they're not killing each other. So what is it? I think you already touched on it. Some of it is systematic. Where have we lost ourselves that much spiritually or socially, economically, that we are literally killing each other? But then when you go to other countries, they have so much less, but a lot of them are not killing each other. What do you think, has happened?
I think a lot of that's
a loaded question.
No, it's a good question. It's a great question, actually. I think a lot of that we see is as the result of movies, sensationalization of rap, things, back when we listened to rap, Curtis Blow didn't talk about shooting nobody.
Right.
Right. We wasn't talking about drinking drink and getting high and all these.
Was you allowed to watch horror movies?
I never watch horror movies. I don't do the horror movies.
Yeah,
but I laugh at Freddy Krueger. But yeah,
right, that's always showing violence. And I've quoted because I know you work with the youth and troubled youth. A study came out with the CDC that the average child witnesses over 16,000 murders before the age of 18 via TV, movies, listening. Basically TV and movies, because they witness it. So it's like you said, it's so many external and social factors that almost push violence.
Right.
So
I try to tell. I got a young man I'm working with now. He wants to be a rapper.
Okay.
And I'm like, do you know rappers? The majority of rappers have a college degree or some kind of college education. And he's like, he didn't know that.
Right. So they thinking they just straight from the streets.
Yeah.
Didn't 2 Chainz go to Alabama State?
Man, I think Jay-Z went to Howard. You know, these guys got college. Even if they didn't graduate, they got some college education. You know, and so what happens is these kids been so sensationalized by, you know, the tattoos on the face and you know this.
It's almost like a movie act, like a script. You know,
and they think it's real.
They think it's real.
And not only do they think it's real, then they begin to live like it's real.
That's the dangerous part,
right? And because now I have to be this character that I've been portraying or that I've been seeing, and now I want to emulate. Now I have to be this character because it's not you; it's a character. And then what happens is, then you know, of course, you know, you go to court and all that stuff that comes out in the courtroom. And
now, let me ask you this, Reverend Boxley. So you deliver, you know, your sermon, your word on Sunday, right? Either in Columbia and York.
Both.
Right. You're real busy.
Yeah, bro.
So let me ask you this. I just love the way you connected our social issues and challenges, you know, brought it to light. Do you, during your sermon, so let's say a young brother, 12, 13, 14, 15, he walks into your church, would you be able to, does your messages, would that be able to reach him? Because that's what I hear a lot of young brothers say. They say, oh, man, is that religious stuff, man? I don't really, you know, connect with that. Does your messages kind of connect with them just the way you're, because I believe you're preaching now.
I would like to believe that the messages that God gives to me to give to the people reaches everybody who's in the room.
Right, no matter, but particularly, because do you hear that? Do you hear that? Because you're amongst the people, they say sometimes they feel disconnected.
It depends on where you're at. I mean, you know, you might be in a setting here where the preacher is using all big words and most people can't understand. I have a master's degree, but I just when I need to use the big words, I use the big words.
Right.
Or if I use a big word and I think people can't understand what I say, I break it down and tell them what it means. But you know, I can understand how some people could be disconnected because of that. But at the same time, we have a responsibility as individuals that if I don't understand what you're saying, I have a responsibility to ask you.
But what if they just 12 or 13? You think they're responsible to ask an adult say I didn't understand that?
Absolutely.
You think they're responsible?
Absolutely.
What age you think they're responsible?
I think right around the
12.
If you're in 5th grade, 6th grade, you can read a book. Then you can
supposed to be able to read at 3rd grade.
Well, I'm just saying in general, you know, then you should be able to ask questions. And if someone's saying something, if I'm telling you something and you don't understand what I'm telling you, then you should be able to come and say, hey, you said this. And can you explain that to me?
Right. And that responsibility isn't just on the church, even though we're in a predominant Christian society. You know, I go to the mosque and I say the same thing to the imams. Imam just means leader. Like, how do you think they were supposed to understand that? You're talking about something 1,400 years ago. You got all this stuff going on now, and you're using, like you said, all these words and terms. No wonder they're playing on their cell phone. They're staring off into the ceiling, because our book says, speak to the people in the language of the people so they may understand. So I think that transcends across any religious lines. You should be able to deliver a message so the people understand, because if they walk out and they're not more educated than they walked in, or not filled with the Spirit, so to speak, then what is it? What is it about? Because it's supposed to be for the people. Right. So I'm always concerned about the youth, and I want them to get something more so they don't go to their street religion, which we call gangs. I believe that's why gangs are so popular, because of that lack of connection at home, not feeling or being wanted. So the gang, like you said, whoever is the leader at that time gives them that love, that connection, pours into them, so to speak, even though it's a lot of false promises.
Right.
And then, we have what we have. What do you think we can do about the violence here in the city? I mean, it's at an epidemic.
It's a past epidemic. I think, again, no matter how you look at the entire situation, it always has to start in the home.
Yes.
Has to.
Everything has an origin.
Has to start. No, I'm not saying that's the issue. I'm saying as far as fixing what's going on. That means mom, dad, grandmom, whoever. Wherever that child is living. If that child is in your house, it's your house. So nothing's off limits to you in your house. So you should be checking drawers and, opening up them drawers, searching through some things, going in them coat pockets. Do whatever you got to do to ensure your child is not doing what you participating in these activities. You know what I mean?
What if the mom is working a whole lot of hours? Then what?
Let me tell you, man. I work 3 full-time jobs. That's how I tell it. I work 3 full-time jobs. I'm telling you right now.
How do you say that to a mother? She's working maybe 2 jobs, and her younger 14-year-old daughter, she's almost running the house. How do you tell her, do this, and that, when she's doing everything she can? Dad may not be in the picture.
Again,
then what?
You got to do what you got to do. That's your child.
Yes.
That's your child. That's your child.
Right.
No matter how you look at it, that's your child. Someone told me the other day. This woman told me. I don't even know who the lady was. I was talking to her about a young man, and she said, "Well, the boy's mom can't handle him." Yes, she can. No, and she said, "No, us young moms can't handle these kids." That's a choice. You can handle your child if you choose to handle your child. At what point as a parent do you give up on your child?
No point. Not until the good Lord takes you off this planet.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Just
that's
like
your
back
child.
in the day.
That's your child. You do whatever you have to do to keep your child from getting in trouble. You do whatever you have to do. If I tell my child don't go outside, and my child still chooses to sneak out the house, I might have to take off work. Because I told him, you ain't going out. Point blank, period. Now, we can handle this. We need to handle it. But it's not going to happen.
So, Reverend Boxley, I appreciate everything that you're saying. You're dropping some heavy jewels, on us. So where does that age-old saying, it takes a village to raise a child? Because you were just saying you got to handle your child. Do you think that the community has a certain amount of responsibility? The mom is doing everything. Because
that's where uncles come in. That's where pastors come in. That's where neighbors come in. We all look out for each other so we can help each other.
Yeah.
We all look out for each other.
That art seems to be gone.
But it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
If it's gone, it need to come back. Because it shouldn't be. And that's the art that I try. That's why most of the time when people call me, it's like, can you do this? Most of the time, majority of the time, I never say no.
Right.
Because in my head, if they calling me, they need me. It's something I can do to help. And if I can't do it that day because I got something else going on or work, I'm going to do my best to try to help any way I can. Because I don't think no one should struggle.
Right.
Especially when it comes to these kids. So there's somebody out there. Look, if the daddy ain't going to do it, there's an uncle over there. There's somebody who cares. There's a granddad. There's somebody who cares.
And not to point blame or on any one individual, but because I've seen this myself, if you see a situation where a mother is doing the best she can and she's almost about to lose her job because every other day Johnny is missing school, he's cutting up.
Somebody else got to step in and help out.
Okay, what if that's not happening and and she's about to lose her job. The boy is out of control. Like, where does the onus of responsibility go on it? And I see it all the time.
I don't think it's an onus of responsibility. It's just a matter of somebody else got to step up to help her.
Surrogate father.
Somebody.
Somebody. That's where the community comes in.
Here's the thing. Surrogate fathers can't be boyfriend.
Right. I've talked about that before.
There's a difference.
Yeah, that's a real fine.
Yeah, it's a difference. It's a fine line. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about just somebody. If you absolutely want help and need help, you're going to go to anybody you can do. I need help. I'm going to go to the preachers. I'm going to go to the community leaders. I'm going to the mosque. I'm going to the church. I'm doing wherever I can go to get the help that I need to help my child.
Right. And not to exploit. I'm glad you pointed that out, because just last week I did a talk. I talked about the importance of a sister should have some kind of male figure in her life to help her
Make key decisions.
Pick a good mate, preferably a husband. Like your father, your brother, uncle, someone. I believe a woman should have another man in her life to say, hey, I don't know about that. And if none of those men are in your life, a concerned brother in the community, but he can't be trying to sleep with you at the same time, because you would never get a man, because he'll always say that man ain't no good because he wants you for himself. So, brothers got to have a good heart and have, sincere intentions if they're going to step in and help. And a lot of sisters need help. It comes across my door, my plate, and my phone a lot, but, I do the best I can to keep my mind straight. But I'm very concerned about black boys.
Likewise. I get calls all the time. Can you talk to my son? And I do the best I can.
Right.
Trying to steer kids in different directions. I had a young man who once told me, I said, man, why you keep doing things over
Same
and over?
repetitive
What
thing.
is causing this to happen? He said, being good is not fun. And so, no, being good can be fun. Watch this. You do this for this amount of time. This is what we're going to do. He looked at me like, really? Yeah, really. You do this for this amount of time. This is what we're going to do.
Like a reward system.
Yeah. You do whatever you got to do to make it work. Is it always going to work? No. But at the same time, you're still making strides. That kid will remember you. The kid will remember you and remember you. I got kids, man, and that's what I'm saying. I don't care who it is. If that kid comes in my office, there's not a kid that has ever been in my office that said Mr. Boxley didn't give his best to try to help me make better decisions.
Right.
No kid. I give them all the same treatment. I got kids one kid in Hanover whose mother passed away, the drug addiction. She called Mr. Boxley to come and do the funeral in Hanover, at the Legion in Hanover. You know what I'm saying? So, because I had that much of an influence of trying to help her get off of drugs herself, just everything, all these things, man. It's just a matter of how do we got to pour. You put your heart into it, it's going to work. I know that one of the questions that was asked earlier, and I think it's important. I think it was an important question. Sister Alicia wrote it earlier on Facebook. And a powerful question, a very important question, especially this time of year, because I was one who fell victim to depression. I didn't even know it. It was like every time I might be happy all year long with life, everything going well. And then all of a sudden, Thanksgiving, I go into like a serious depression, anger, frustration, trying to figure out what the world. And I realized what it was for me was I wasn't looking forward to Christmas. I wasn't looking forward to as much as I love the holidays and being around family and sitting around the table, I love that part of it. I hated the aftermath, having to catch up on the bills and all these other stuff, because you got to do this and the kids want that and, just straight depression. So one of the things I would say for people who are struggling this time of year, attach to the people you love and the people who love you. Get yourself connected to God. However you get connected to God. Get connected to God. Get connected to the people you love and that love you. And nurture that during this time until you feel better. And if you're at a point where you need to go to a doctor, then you go to a doctor too. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If you need to go talk to a therapist, then go get you a therapist. Do whatever you need to do to make you okay. And that's the bottom line. Can you be okay today? That's what I say. Sister Alicia, that's for you.
Right. So I hope that answered your question, Sister Alicia. And if you had it, countless others probably had it. And I tell you, brother, out of all the interviews I did, I thought I was seeing something when Alicia just said 5 more minutes. I can't believe, with all the knowledge, like, you got to be joking. It seemed, that time went by so fast, but you shared, so much. Man, I can't believe she said 5 more minutes. I'm like, what? It's up already? We could continue this another 2-3 hours. So I hope, this powerful message will be replayed on Facebook. I'm going to have it on YouTube so our brother can share it with others. This is just been dynamic, the family life, spirituality, what's going on, in our community. Any closing words? I'd asked you earlier if any programs are coming up, and you said you want to solidify them first, so I won't ask you that.
Any things that we're working on, and so we're just going to wait.
Right.
Put it out there, but
but you're always, pouring into the community, like you said. Every Tuesday at 9 a.m. is the feeding.
Yes.
Right.
Every Tuesday and Thursday is
Tuesday and Thursday.
Zumba classes.
The
food pantries.
And is that just for women?
Morning. No.
Zumba's for men.
Anybody who want to exercise.
Oh, okay.
It's anybody who want to exercise. And if you don't want to go to Zumba, we got the weights downstairs. So
you mean to tell me the men be in there like a 1 and a 2 and that's for men?
They're supposed to be, but men don't always show up. Men don't always show up, man. Men don't always show up. They should.
All right. Do you participate in those?
I signed up. But then when I got there, wasn't no other man there, so I just slid on back out. I slid back out.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But tears over here, man.
But no, we're just excited, man. I appreciate you, this venue that you have, and what you're doing in the community. And
yes, sir.
Grateful.
We're going to continue to work together, and it's beautiful. A Muslim and a Christian coming together. A brother sent me that earlier and said, man, look at these 2 brothers from 2 different faiths working together to serve the people. So I believe that's beautiful within itself. Anytime you need me to help assist there with anything, as long as you're comfortable with it, I'm here, brother. I'm here because it's about our people, and we need it, more than ever. So this is Brother Sharif with the Hour of Power. Go to Hour of Power, Sharif Hamid on YouTube. Subscribe and share. You know the motto, so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. Thank you.
Thank you.